Hello, everyone. Welcome to our channel, Marriage Amiibo.
Hmm.
And if you are new to this channel, this is Marriage Amiibo, our YouTube channel, where we talk about life, family, and our immigration journey. So today we'll be talking about um, why we left our country, why we Japa, why we decided to Japa, why we left our country, Nigeria. And we had started this conversation earlier in the previous video where we talked about the security aspects that motivated us to leave the country. Today, we'll be talking about a second thing. And this is because we left for the sake of our children. Yeah, so we will talk about different things that influenced our living for the sake of our children. Do you want to start?
Yeah, so I will start by talking about the toxicity of the environment.
Okay.
Yeah, so from that happened, we experienced it. I don't know if you still remember. Our kids were homeschooled at some point when we were back home in Nigeria, and so because of the remote nature of the jobs we do, we will usually try to bring the kids out to play in the evenings, ride their bikes, try to play games,
Play
football.
badminton. Yeah.
And of course, sometimes when they come out, they will have other kids on the clothes who will be out there to play with them. So, yeah, we don't restrict them from relating with people, even though they were not going to the regular school, because that's also another way for them to interact with people. But something happened. I think you were the one that called my attention to it.
Yes.
Because you were like most of the times, with them when they're hanging out for the football. So one of the days you guys were out, you told me that you noticed that some kids, particular children, that when our kids come out, they will start going to a little corner.
They used to play with them initially.
Okay.
Then one day I just noticed that they came out, the kids wanted to play with them and they refused and went to a particular corner.
Yeah.
The kids will be playing and they just ensure that they don't play with my kids. So
yeah,
I was just wondering what happened.
And I think the kids were playing, there were usually many kids playing outside.
Yeah.
But this particular family all of a sudden started withdrawing or distancing themselves from the kids. You called my attention to it. I didn't believe you. So I think the next day I said, I'm going to come out to see this thing. I didn't believe that, this kind of things could happen to children. Yeah, and we came out. The kids were out that day. The day I came, those kids were playing.
Yeah.
And immediately our kids came out to try to play with them. They all started moving away. I started going to their house. I was like, what happened? So for me, naturally as a mom, I wanted to find out if anything happened between them and my kids. So of course I let the kids play, but after the day's play, when they came into the house, I started asking them that was there anything that happened between them and those kids? Was there anything? And the way I was asking the question, my husband had to stop me because the kids were looking confused. They didn't know they didn't even notice the kids were moving away, right? They didn't notice all that was going on, So, but that thing continued.
Yeah.
Yeah, it continued. So each time those kids are out and my kids come out to play, they would just start moving into a corner.
I even made attempts to reach out to the parents to find out why. And
did you?
Yeah, I did. I asked, and they said, no, nothing.
Yeah,
but the kids were acting as if they were giving instructions.
Yeah, it was.
So, but the bottom line is that we are in a place where people easily judge people.
Yeah.
People are competing with people, looking at you, the kind of car you drive, what you're doing, and all that stuff, all that culture of toxicity. Yeah.
So we didn't want our kids to imbibe that culture or be influenced by it. That culture that tries to segregate amongst one another for whatever reason, be it for religious reasons. Because at some point I was wondering if you had to do with religious reasons, maybe because of the fact that, we weren't, I don't know. I was just wondering because I didn't understand why that kind of strange, behavior from those kids. So the toxicity of the environment was one of the reasons that I was very happy to remove my kids, because I want my children to be mentally stable people who don't judge other people because of the color of their skin, because of anything at all, even their religion or their culture or whatever. You just relate with people as human beings and respect them as humans. And sorry to say, this thing I've said now, it's a very difficult thing in my country. We have a lot of religious
culture
clashes. We have a lot of cultural, ethnic
clashes.
No, don't marry from this place because they are like this and all. I just didn't want that for
all
my
those
kids.
biases, all those prejudices. So they are not our thing. So the second thing is, for me, is the exposure.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Before we moved, the children were already traveling, so we had exposed them to traveling to countries like the United States. That's the country they traveled the most. That's the only country. Have they gone anywhere else beside that? Besides stopovers in some other countries. Turkey, Dubai at some point. Have they? Yeah. So they've had that sort of exposure, and we loved the kind of effect it had on them.
It's actually expanded their
horizon, their
life.
Thinking about life, their outlook, where their vocabulary, the things they talk about. So exposure was very important, and that is something that many people lack in our country, especially if you don't move around, if you don't, I was talking about a young man who is 30 something who I was talking to, and he was looking to get married, but the ladies who he was approaching were more exposed than him. And when I spoke to him in just less than 10 minutes, I saw that, his problem was just lack of exposure. And I gave him some advice on how he can actually acquire some exposure without even traveling. So, but that thing of exposure changes your outlook in life. And for another example, I worked in the financial sector back in Nigeria, and this was one of the traditional banks. I saw how we had this seniority stuff, this culture, layered culture, where once there is a boss, people are so afraid of the boss. The boss comes out and walks like he's
and he's like
a god, a demigod, right? You don't talk to your boss and all that. People use the word "oga."
But that was not my own experience in my own organization.
Yeah, different organizations have different culture, but it's still there. It's still there because at the senior level, you don't run that flat kind of structure. So I remember one experience I had where I went to a meeting, an executive director, said something, and I had a different view. I wanted to air my view. My supervisor was telling me that don't talk. These guys, they know it all. Don't. And I'm like, but in that same environment, when some of the consultants come in, and most of these consultants were kids in KPMG, Accenture,
they go to talk to the bosses,
and a lot of them schooled abroad.
Yeah,
and when they come in, they just walk in straight to the boss's office, call them by their first name, So, and these are kids who are our age and even younger than us, but because of the exposure now to life, I saw that confidence that they exude. Everything in their demeanor and everything, I just felt that, our children need to get this kind of exposure to have this sort of confidence in life.
Yeah, I really agree with you, because one of the things that I noticed here is the confidence that everybody, not just children, everyone is very confident. And a lot of times in our culture or back home, people are not really, environment is kind of stifling. Where people are not allowed to give expression to their views. But here it's totally different. You're allowed to air your views, even if your view makes no sense. Just say it all the same, because in saying what makes no sense, you would learn what makes sense.
But
that confidence of a thing, I think it's a very big one because, yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say that even our people who struggle with that here.
It's a big struggle because
back home you can't even talk to your parents.
Yeah.
There's some things you don't say to your parents.
So when you get to the workplace, because you have worked in the environment where that hierarchy is there, you know, you always have that thing at the back of your mind when you're talking to your supervisors here. You know, meanwhile, your supervisors are wondering, what's wrong with this person?
You appear timid.
Yeah, you appear weird because everyone, I think here they are a flat structure thing works. So we wanted our kids to be normal. To be very normal because that's how normal people function. And I think that it's already happening for them, you know. Children are able to express themselves wherever they go, just like yesterday when they met the man in the bank.
Yeah, they went to open accounts yesterday.
Yeah, they were able to answer questions. So it wasn't like the man was directing those questions at us. The account was for the children, and he expected to have engaged with them. So that level of confidence is what we desired, and that was one of the reasons we moved because of the children, the impact of on the children.
The next thing is quality of education. So back home, quality of education. For you to get the level of quality you get here, you pay a lot for it. You have to pay an arm and a leg. You know, for us.
Do you even still get the quality even after you make the payment?
Even after that, you know, you see schools where you pay so much and you don't get the quality. You don't get the kind of attention for your children. Yeah, but here, in the average school, you get a far higher quality. And, you know, they don't just focus on academics. They focus on different aspects. Just how many years have we spent and how many trips have the kids made? They've gone to museums. They've gone on residential where they spent like 3 days alone, just the kids and their trainers and the teachers.
They're focusing on social skills.
There are a lot of social skill training,
and not just academics,
team building stuff and all that.
Leadership.
So it's to get that quality back home. It's a tall order to get that quality back home. So that's one of the reasons. Of course, here you still have to support your children's education. If you want them to, you know, do well academically, you still have to support. But in terms of other aspects, and you know, the structure here is that they're not very crazy about university. So they are training people that after your secondary school, you can actually
everything you need
go and get a job and start working and function as a normal person and get a job and support a family. So they're not crazy about academics. So that quality of education was one of the other drivers that brought us out here.
I think another one would be access to global opportunities. I think, not to say that you don't have the same access, but because for a long time, for many years, I've been following and I belong to a lot of subscription companies that share updates on scholarship opportunities and all that kind of thing. And I saw that as the years moved on, the opportunities for Nigerians started dropping. And I don't know why, honestly. If you go to those opportunities, you're going to see a lot of things for Indians, other countries, but for Nigerians, just very few, except this Commonwealth and all this Chevening, you know, and very, very few opportunities for Nigerians. So for us, being able to access these opportunities was one of the main things one of the drivers, you know, that made us to move so that we can position ourselves and the children in that environment where they can easily access those global opportunities. What do you have anything to add to this?
In regards to global opportunities, you know, things like the boot camps, coding and all that, there's just a whole lot of it here. In fact, if you are a citizen or if you spent time up to there are trainings that you can take for free.
3 years.
Get
I think
a job.
You spend 3 years.
Yeah. So all those things are here. And back then in Nigeria, I followed the financial space for a while in the financial investment. And up until recently, before we left in 2021, you couldn't even buy shares in global stock, from Nigeria. You just limited. There are just some derivatives that you could buy. Yeah. Eventually, some apps came in and started allowing people buy, but not the full thing. So all that limitation is there. For the young kids who are doing business, the young entrepreneurs who do sell internationally, even to receive payment is a problem. PayPal, it doesn't allow acceptance.
No, you can't receive from PayPal, but Nigeria, you can pay.
You can pay. So there are just a whole lot of limitations.
Restrictions.
There's just a whole lot. But when you come out, the board is opened up to you.
Yeah, so...
The board is opened up to you. So it's one of the things that, we looked at for the kids. Then the next thing is for travel. Back home, people see traveling as one big deal.
Yeah.
For big men. Once you come out, every part of the world now opens up in terms of travel. People can take a bus, go from here to France. People go to port. People go on road trips and visit multiple countries at the same time.
Yeah, for me, I think travel is a form of education.
Yes.
A lot of things that you're reading up, some of the things you read in stories. Yeah, so travel is just one way that you can learn a lot. And it's a very good thing for children. So,
very good.
Yeah, so these are some of the reasons we moved because of the children. And you want to, in closing?
Yes, so I think looking at everything, I think it was a good one for the children. Yeah. Looking back, we asked them this question: so what are your thoughts? How do you compare? And every time they're really happy and grateful that they made the move. They are growing opportunities and all that. And so advice is that anybody who can and should take the journey.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not very easy. It has its challenges, but in the end, it pays off. So we've come to the end of the video. Hope you learned one or two things. And please, if you enjoyed this video, press the like button and press the notification to know when we drop other videos, and share it with your friends and family. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.